Benjamin West and His Cat, Grimalkin, by Marguerite Henry. Chapter 10, Patchy as a Ragbag. All that evening in the chimney corner, Benjamin painted in a fever of excitement. He made a new portrait of Dr. Jonathan Morris, and never once did the red color land where it was not intended. "The doctor's red bush wig looks so natural," declared Papa. "I can nigh smell the pomade on it." When the portrait was done, Benjamin painted indigo birds and yellow-billed cuckoos and foxes and weasels. The evening flew. By the time Grimalkin snuffed out the candle to remind everyone that it was bedtime, Benjamin had painted 6 pictures. With the 6th picture came a horrible discovery. The paintbrush was not going to last. In fact, it was worn out already. In the days that followed, Grimalkin played a kind of hide-and-seek with Benjamin. Whenever he spied Benjamin coming toward him, shears in hand, he vanished like a puff of smoke. One time, he flew up the scarecrow's breeches and hid for almost an hour. But at last, Grimalkin made a discovery. If he sat very still while Benjamin cut a tuft of hair from his coat, he was rewarded with the most delicious tidbits: a nubbin of roast pork or venison, a crumb of shoe-fly pie, some freshly cracked nut meats, a dollop of soft white cheese. And quite as pleasant as the tidbits were Benjamin's words of praise. "Thee is beautiful. Thee is comely in spite of everything," Benjamin would murmur softly as he snipped the little tufts of fur. "What if thy coat be fleckered? The light in thy eyes is like a candle. Thee is a true Quaker, sober, patched coat, but shining spirit within." Grimalkin would roll over and over in happiness. Then he would chase his tail until Benjamin grew dizzy watching him. Soon Grimalkin did not fear the shears at all. He was ready and willing to furnish all the paintbrushes his master could use. He seemed to know he was important and needed. He walked about, waving his shorn tail as gaily as if it had been a flag. And the patchier he grew, the closer he clung to Benjamin. Had not Benjamin saved his life? Now he, Grimalkin, was returning the favor. "Mamma," questioned Papa one day, "has thee or the girls accidentally scalded our Grimalkin?" "No, Papa," replied Mamma with concern in her voice. "I have asked the girls that very question." Papa stooped down and stroked Grimalkin. "Is the ailing little one?" "The mange, likely," said Mamma, "or some winter illness that will vanish with the snows melting." But Mamma's words sounded more hopeful than her voice. "Patchy as a ragbag," sighed Papa. "He reminds me of a piebald horse I had as a boy." And he shook his head sadly. No one suspected the real cause of Grimalkin's appearance, yet each one of the family tried to remedy it. Mamma saved all the giblets from chickens, geese, and wild turkeys for Grimalkin. What did it matter if the gravy had no savor? Better to restore Grimalkin's health, she thought. Papa, who was very fond of kidney pie, gave all the kidneys on his plate to Grimalkin. The girls, too, tried to coax Grimalkin's appetite. They saved little dabs of whipped syllabub and floating island pudding for him. They even saved the knuckle bones and ham marrow that usually went to Papa's hound dogs. As for the boys, they slyly offered little morsels to Grimalkin underneath the table board: squash and succotash, mussels and shad. Every day was feast day for Grimalkin. He scarcely had time to lick the flavor left on his lips. Always there seemed to be a new and more tempting morsel set before him. Meanwhile, Benjamin went his way, unmindful of all the worry he had caused. He went to school, he did his chores, he painted his pictures. No need to tell our little wren, Mamma had whispered to each of the family in turn. He will learn of Grimalkin's ailment soon enough. Grimalkin, however, grew plump as a pig being fattened for market. But his fur did not improve. It became steadily worse. One first day evening, on the edge of winter, Papa led the way into the parlor for the quiet hour of family worship. A lone candle made black shadows on the wall. The fire in the hearth burned softly, as if it, too, were at worship. The family settled itself on small benches, Mamma and the girls on one side of the parlor, the boys on the other. Behind Benjamin sat Thomas and John, their knees at his back. On either side were Joseph and Samuel. Papa sat facing everyone. With effort, Benjamin folded his hands across his chest the way the elders and the overseers did. Then he sat in cramped silence, waiting for God to put words into Papa's mouth. Suddenly there was a light patter of cushioned feet, and Grimalkin was in the room. He sat down before Papa and busied himself, washing his paws and dressing what little fur he had left. Papa's voice began to quake. "Winter closes in, O Lord," he said. "Thou hast provided well for thy human creatures. Now we beseech thee to restore Grimalkin's coat to its former thickness." Papa's voice died away. The room became very still. Benjamin found it difficult to breathe. Even the candle sputtered for air. "I must tell Papa, now. At once," Benjamin told himself. He leaned forward. His heart seemed to catch in his throat. He opened his mouth, but no sound escaped. Then, all of a sudden, the words tumbled out like water over a mill wheel. "Papa, Grimalkin is not ailing. I have been making hair pencils from his coat. Uncle Phineas told me that real painters use hair pencils made from camel's hair. But camels live far away on a desert. I had to use Grimalkin's hair instead." Benjamin stopped for breath. Joseph and Samuel seemed to be closing in on him. Thomas's and John's knees were boring into his back. After a long while, he dared to look up. Papa's face was like a sky that promises thunder and suddenly clears. His brow clouded, and then, all at once, he broke into a slow smile. "Necessity can sharpen the wits even of children," he said. "To make use of the gifts at hand is workmanlike. From now on, however, thee will leave Grimalkin's coat untouched." Benjamin's mouth opened in amazement. Papa, he concluded, was a wonderful man.